Boom, 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 boom.
Now they often call me Speedo, but my real name is Mister.
Sitting here in the dressing room with Mr. Speedo, Earl Carroll. Earl is a rock and roll legend who's been performing since I was a little boy, way back in the 50s, I remember. Now, you, Mr. Carroll here, Speedo's been with a couple of different groups. Tell us about when you got started in the music.
Well, it was in the early 50s. My first professional engagement was in 1952. We were born and raised. There's a born and raised group out of New York City. And all of us came from Harlem, USA. We went to school in Harlem. And the Apollo Theater was our second home. We used to go in there every week and stay hours at a time, sing some of the finest. No, not at that time. We were just wanted to get in the business. We were new to the business. And the Apollo had some of the greatest entertainers the world has ever known. I caught Catherine Dunham there, Count Basie, Joe Williams, Billy Eckstein, so many other greats. I used to go in, play hooky sometime from school and go way up in the buzzard nest, up in the third floor balcony, and watch some of the greatest performers, Nat King Cole, the Orioles, and all the greats. That was my school of entertainment
so you
for
got
me.
To see Sonny Till way
Yes,
back
I did. Yes, and the original Orioles. That's right. George and Alex and all of them. Yeah, they were one of our admirers, and we were certainly admirers of them. Billy Ward and the Dominoes.
And Clyde McFadden was singing with them?
Clyde McFadden, yes.
So, how did that inspire you? What did that make you want to do?
Well, I used to get up there and dream and say, listen, this is what I want to do. If I could only get up on that stage and perform like these guys. But I was good friends with Bobby Schiffman, and his father owned the theater, Frank Schiffman. And they knew me as a dancer in those days. I used to whistle Sweet Georgia Brown and do a little tap. I even had a cane and hat way back there in those days. And Bobby Schiffman used to tell me, well, Earl, if you want to get on this stage, we don't want you to sing, we want you to dance. Because I was known for Bill, what is his name, the tap dancer? Bill
Robinson.
Bill Robinson, yes, that's right. I was in love with him, and I wanted to base my act somewhat around his. I got a hat and cane, and I used to whistle Sweet Georgia Brown and tap. And we used to rehearse over at a school, PS 43 on 29th Street in Amsterdam, with the Drifters and the Five Crowns and all of them. Used to rehearse at that particular school. That turned me on. And being, like I say, at the Apollo Theater was our second home. My mother used to have to come now and then and send that boy out of there before I kill him. Because I would spend all my time and energy right there at the Apollo with Bobby Schiffman and his father, Frank Schiffman.
So, from hanging around the Apollo, how did you get to be a professional entertainer?
Well, like I said, I got on amateur, but they wanted me to sing and tap dance. Bobby Schiffman did, and I did. I won that, but then I came up with a group. In the early 50s, it was everybody's young man's dream to do a little rock and roll and some singing. Tommy Smalls was a big disc jockey in those days, him and Jocko. And that was everybody's dream, just to be able to get on. And a lot of kids from the neighborhood made it very big, and then some didn't make it at all, and I was one of the fortunate ones.
What group did you sing with first? What was
The first group was a group named the Carnation. We liked the group very much, Earl, but we're not crazy about that name Carnations. We used to wear a flower in our lapel. They said, well, you got to go back in the woodshed and pick out another name. That really don't strike my fancy, the Carnation. So we did. We went back and discussed it and said, well, where do we go from here? And one of the guys in the group, I think it was Papa Clark, said, well, what's the greatest car America has? And everybody looked at each other and said, well, that's an easy one, Cadillac. And it kind of threw off a light bulb. Everybody said, you don't get much classier than that, Cadillac. So we tried Cadillac. And the rest is history, really.
Where's the ones with my shoes?
You know, Esther Navarro was a manager at,
Yeah, they on the floor?
she was a booking agent at Show Artists at the time that had all the action down.
So tell us about some of the great moments with the Cadillacs, some of the big hits the Cadillacs had. Gloria?
Well, Gloria was an old standard. The Mills Brothers did it first. I heard it by the Mills Brothers. Then Charles Brown did a version of it. And then the Cadillac went in and recorded and put a little doo-wop to it.
You did it your own way.
Yeah, with the high falsetto.
Over here.
And for years it was the number 500 on the greatest songs. And it's amazing because they're still recording. Every group on the East Coast did a cover on it just about.
Everybody does. I've heard it by so many different groups, but yours seems to be the standard doo-wop.
Right,
Gloria.
exactly.
All right, and after Gloria, what else did the Cadillacs do?
Oh, well, we did quite a few Down the Road, and we did No Chance. But I was a balladeer. I was a softy for ballad. And we did some pretty good ones. We did You Are, Girl I Love, Betty My Love, Window Lady. We had some nice ballads, but they was focusing us with up-tempo type of things. So they kept us in the studio recording up-tempo type of things.
And you go by the name of Speedo.
Yes.
All right, tell us about that song.
Well, we were playing an armory back then with Connie Francis and the Moonglows, and it was a sellout affair. And Bobby Phillips, the ham of the group, we were leaving the engagement, getting ready to get in the car and drive back to New York. And it had a big bombshell outside of the armory. And they used to tease me about my head being pointy. And Bobby, the ham of the group, said, "Hey, Speedo, there's your torpedo." Oh, and they just laughed and fell on the ground. They thought that was the funniest thing. And I got a little insulted about it.
But what'd you do?
I told Bobby, say, listen, my name is Earl, Mr. Earl, far as you concerned. And we got in the car, and they had a big record out that Bobby Shipman's group had recorded called I've Got Your Water Boiling Baby. And the name of the group was what was the name of that group? Brother Gary, do you remember? I forget this.
Royal Justice.
No?
Royal Justice, was it?
No, it was well, they had the number one record out at that time called I've Got Your Water Boiling Baby. And they had Wop Wah Shoo-Ba-Doo in their song. We took the Wop Wah Shoo-Ba-Doo and put it to Speedo, and the rest is history.
That's history. That's your signature song.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
And that's basically how you close your act now, with all the energy you have,
right.
Even after all these years.
Well,
All the energy that you display on stage.
we try to keep it real.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
You do. And you're going to do that tonight, I'm
Yes,
sure, too.
for sure.
Okay. Any other groups you sang with over the years? And any
The
other
Coasters.
The Coasters. Tell us
They
about
offered me an engagement. We were at the Apollo Theater. I wasn't with them. I was with the Cadillacs. And they were going to the Tivoli Theater in Chicago for 9 days. and they said, Speed, we're changing personnel, and we would love to have you with us. We thought about everybody that we could think about, coming into the group with us. And our mind was set on us that we can pull it off. And you talk to your family and you talk to your guys and see what you think, and if you're interested, when we come back, you got the spot. It was taking a young man named Carneys Gunther that was doing a fabulous job with the Coasters at that time. And he really thought nobody could really take his place because the Coasters, I was fascinated with them because they were actors. And nobody was acting on stage with rock and roll. They would sing rock and roll. But these guys was acting, Take Nothing to Me. The secret of your success and shopping for clothes. Not only were they singing these songs, it was an act. Everybody had a part to play.
Did you record with the Coasters?
Yes, I did.
Would you record? What songs would you hear your voice out with the Coasters?
D.W. Washburn, we did Everybody's Woman, quite a few of them.
Did you do Charlie Brown?
No, I didn't.
You didn't sing Charlie Brown?
No, I didn't sing Charlie Brown. They came here with Will Jones, Carl Gardner, Carneys Gunther, and Billy Guy. They came from California with Lieber and Stroller, and they recorded those. Lieber and Stroller was writing the tunes at that time for Atlantic, and they were the second biggest group with Atlantic, because Atlantic had the Drifters, and the Coasters. But it was a hot group, and this was a new style group, and these guys were singing, and they were funny, and they were acting. I remember quite well a couple of the gigs in South Carolina when they thought the Coasters was white.
Is that right?
Yeah. They didn't see pictures, they just had the name Coasters coming in.
See, back then, the only identity we ever had with the group was seeing that record label.
Right,
Okay?
Josie.
Oh, yeah, that's all we ever saw.
They were, Josie. And we walked in the place, man, and everybody was hollering and drinking beer, and when they looked at us, it just came to a hush. Everybody got quiet. And the bosses ran up to us and said, what y'all want? What you doing in here? I said, we the Coasters. They said, what? You the who? They ain't nowhere in the world, y'all the Coasters. Coasters is hillbillies. They from out. But they didn't know that the Coasters was a black group singing Yakety Yak, Charlie Brown.
Elvira.
Elvira.
How long were you with the Coasters then?
I did almost 22 years with the Coasters. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I heard you and Bobby Lewis just talking and about the good old days, and I think I joined them about 59 or before. But yeah, I've been about 22 years. And then somebody came and said, well, listen, can you get the Cadillacs back together? I got a Subaru commercial that the people are interested in. They want to use people that have a car name like the Cadillacs, and President Ford's daughter, and Etzel Man, and we did Mercury Mars.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very successful commercial. It ran a whole year, I think, and it was very sweet. I would love to have another one like that. Yeah, that was ran for a whole year.
Now, Bobby's going to open the show. When do you go on?
I'm not sure.
Well, are they going to tell you beforehand?
Before the Shirelles or after the Shirelles. I think they want us on after the
And it's
Shirelles.
going to be another night of high energy Cadillac.
Yes, hopefully.
High octane.
Yes.
And the gas tank will be
Yes, I got some young man with me that's been with me for I don't know how many, more than 20 years. Gary Lewis, and we got Richard, and we gonna try to rock this out.
Well, I've seen you many times before, and you've always rocked the house. People can't get over your energy, because if I remember correctly, you're over 49 years old.
Oh yes, I'm in my early 70s, and God has been good. you know, I give all the praise to him, keeping me healthy and keeping me around for a reason, I imagine. And I'm still drilling audience. I still love the business, and hopefully I'll stay around for several more years.
All right. Well,
I'd like to get a thing in the Hall of Fame out of Cleveland. They got this new Hall of Fame thing.
Yeah.
But I hope I can get in there before I die.
You sang with the Drifters. What years were you singing? You were singing with Doc Green, you said. Ellsbury Hobbs.
Doc Green, Ellsbury Hobbs,
Charlie Thomas.
and on the big shows with Benny King.
Now, what years we talking? We're talking. Well, Benny King.
The 70s.
Really? In the 70s? Okay. How about Gene Kirsten? Was Gene Kirsten?
Jane wasn't with us. Because I came in there, I took Al Banks sang with the group, and then he
The
left.
Turbans, wasn't he with the Turbans?
Yeah, but he also sang with Zig. And he left. And I took his place. See, I was teaching choreography to the group.
Really?
Teaching choreography to different groups.
What groups did you teach choreography to?
One of the first was the Dupree, the original Dupree.
Right.
And, you know, I had to teach them how to walk, because they were walking right hand with the right leg and left hand with the left leg. That's the way they walked. And it was very tough in teaching them to do it rhythmically, you know. Right hand with your left as you should be walking.
Sure.
But yeah, I'd take them downstairs at the Apollo Theater. There was a little dance floor down there, and that's where we would...
Now, back at the Apollo Theater, do you remember an amateur act coming in there, Smokey Robinson, Miracles? You remember when they first came there? Were you around? Were you there?
No. At that time, I think I might have been living in Boston, Massachusetts then.
Okay.
I didn't meet Smokey till after he had it.
Because Smokey went head-to-head against Gladys Knight, and, well, they were called the Pips back then, and of course they were called the Miracles back then. But Gladys won, and I was told that the Miracles were told to never come back again. The Miracles were told not to return.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, it's just.
Well, they had to pay them to come back, didn't they?
Yeah. Eventually, they had to give them some money to come back.
Good.
But as a matter of fact, Gladys went down into the basement. Bobby Rogers of the Miracles told me that they went down into the basement to that little dance rehearsal hall, and Charlie Atkins was down there.
Charlie Atkins.
He was teaching Gladys how to move on stage, and Smokey and the Miracles saw this, and they went back, and when they got back with Barry Gordy, they told him, he said, "You got to see this guy. He knows how to move on stage." And
We was his first group, the Cadillacs.
The Cadillacs was the first group that Charlie
They took up underneath their wing as a
right.
dance between Atkins and Cole.
Is that right?
And
That's
Gladys and them saw us
Second group.
in Detroit. We were working at the what's the name of that
Fox?
theater there?
The Fox Theater.
Fox
Theater.
Yeah.
And I looked around in the wing, and there was Smokey, Gladys, the Temptations, all of them. They couldn't understand what we were doing. Say, what they singing and dancing? What kind of group is this?
That's right.
And they all was
Now,
just
what year
fascinated.
was this?
Well, this must have been. Well, I'm terrible on time. I think
Was that 1939?
no, please. It was, I think, 60 something.
It had to be like 61, maybe 62.
something like that.
Yeah, because
And,
Gladys.
Yeah, and Charlie Atkins. Have you ever seen their act, Atkins and Cole?
Yeah, very good. This movie.
Oh
go see
boy,
this movie.
they move like angels.
Go
on
to the
stage.
library and get the movie Gentlemen
They both
Prefer
are
Blonde.
dead now, but they
And
were
you'd
a
see.
fabulous group.
They did the slowest, the most precise soft shoe that you'll ever see. They were in Gentlemen Prefer Blonde.
Okay.
Coles and Atkins. It's great.
Okay.
Great. But they were in that movie.
And they took them over there after the Cadillacs was their first group.
Well, now some may call me Mo, some may call me Joe. Yes, man, my Speedo, he don't never take it so well. Now the